All right. Well, unless you've been living under a rock for the past, I don't know, 6 months, which a lot of us have, you know what I mean? But like legit, we in that rock, we got cable and Netflix and internet, and all the things that go with the, all our shit that we've been doing, right? Everybody knows it's Joe Biden versus Donald Trump in the general presidential elections. And Joe Biden has decided to pick Kamala Harris as his running mate. Everybody's over here screaming about conspiracy theories about how Joe Biden's a Manchurian candidate and Kamala Harris is the individual they really want to be president because Joe Biden's like 80 years old and most of the time he's falling asleep and has no idea where he is. He doesn't know what state he's in, walking around looking like Mr. Magoo. So with that being said, I found out something today. All right, I was listening to the Savage Nation. And yesterday, Michael Savage had on Don Trump Jr. And having Don Trump Jr. on, Joe Biden, he says, had 2 aneurysms. So I kind of dismissed it at the moment, found a place to park, went to sleep, woke up. And I woke up and I'm like, man, listen, is this a real thing? Right? And I looked it up and it turns out it's completely true, but it's not a recent thing. Now, long-term brain injuries, and especially something that happened back before we had any real knowledge of what was going on, or a lot of abilities that we have today, maybe something you want to discuss. So let's have this conversation. What Joe Biden learned from his life-threatening brain aneurysms. Right? This was written back in 2019. In early 1988, Joe Biden was devastated. The then Delaware senator had bowed out of the 1988 presidential race after questions were raised about the lack of attribution of quotes he used in the speech. Biden feared the scandal would tarnish his reputation, that people would consider him a cheat. He was having regular headaches, requiring him to carry around a big bottle of Tylenol. He was also feeling pain in his neck. And as chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Biden had recently overseen the contentious confirmation for hearing for Robert Bork, followed by hearings for Anthony Kennedy. In February 1988, he suffered 2 life-threatening brain aneurysms. Biden has said the experience shaped him into the kind of man I want to be. I'm not real sure how you get shaped into the man you want to be. You're 80 years old. What type of man do you want to be? Like dead? Because it shaped you towards being dead, I'm pretty sure. How a kid from Scranton became Delaware's most prominent statesman. All right, so this goes in Joe Biden's complicated opposition to busing for school desegregation. 2007, his book Promises to Keep. He described passing out in a hotel room in Rochester in February 1988, where earlier that night he had been given a speech at the University of Rochester. He calls a lightning flashing inside of my head and a powerful electric surge, and then a rip of pain like I'd never felt before. He was unconscious for 5 hours, and he woke up and he was Meteor Man. Yo, why does Joe Biden always have a young child around him? That's really weird. Biden flew back to Wilmington the next morning despite feeling weak and sick. Shortly after returning to his home, he was rushed to St. Francis Hospital in Wilmington. The results of the spinal tap showed blood in his spinal fluid, meaning an artery in his brain was likely leaking. An artery in his brain was leaking. I feel like I should go, right? And like that guy in My Cousin Vinny. Like, identical. Like a CT scan revealed an aneurysm lying below the base of his brain. Surgery was his best chance of survival. He underwent a microsurgical craniotomy at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center in Washington, D.C. The chances of surviving the surgery were 50%, but the likelihood of waking up with serious deficits were even more concerning, Biden wrote. So 50-50 you're going to live. 20 chances out of 100 you're going to be in the same person when you went to sleep when you woke up. Not good odds. Maybe I should have been frightened at this point, but I felt calm, he wrote. In fact, I felt becalmed. I felt like I was floating gently in the wide open sea. It surprised me, but I had no fear of dying. I had long since accepted the fact that life's guarantees don't include a fair shake. You should tell the rest of you Democrats, you know what I'm saying? That sounds like anti-communist propaganda right there, right? Biden recalled being completely isolated during his recovery. A decision made by wife Jill and his staff. This meant that no work or phone calls. Even when President Ronald Reagan called Biden twice, Jill's was adamant about her rule and would not let Biden take the call. You told the president to fuck off? It's great. That May, Biden underwent a second surgery, which was a success. While recovering, Biden admits he was self-conscious about his looks. He was thin. His right eyelid drooped, and the right side of his forehead was immobile. He had paralysis after the surgery, just so we know exactly what's going on. Initially, doctors weren't sure if his dead face would be... Your dead face, Joe. Yo, he still got the dead face, though. Like, yo. I'm sorry, man. I had to cough there for a second. Y'all be breaking me, man. Yo, dead face, fish face Joe. Biden wrote, but 6 weeks later, his muscles in his forehead and cheek began to work again. Although Jill and his staff still kept him off the phone, Senator Ted Kennedy was the one person who broke the rule and surprised him with an in-person visit. Biden said this was the first time in his life when he really rested. By August, he felt like himself again, was given the okay to doctors to return to Congress. He made his first public appearance at the Delaware Democratic Party's Sussex County Jamboree. He told a crowd of hundreds that he would receive his second chance in life. That last year has taught me one big lesson. The only things that are truly urgent are matters of life and death, Biden wrote in the book. I was no less committed or passionate, but no longer I felt the need I had to win every moment to succeed. More important, I understood that single moment of failure, even one so public and wounding as the end of my presidential campaign, could not determine my epitaph. So I'm just saying, all right? The dude's had two, not one, two brain aneurysms. Not one, but two brain surgeries. And he's 80 years old. I just wanted to put that out there because nobody has any idea he's actually had an aneurysm. Legit. Like, I know that it seems like I'm using this in a political manner. All right? And it would be different. Legitimately. It would be a whole different animal if, say, like, you know, they went, oh, man, you know, the guy got a mutilated hand. I'm like, oh, do you have good ideas? Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. Like, Ron Paul was a short, little, scrawny dude. You know what I mean? He looked like he could get blown over by it. Like, I could put him in my pocket. You know what I'm saying? Like he was a tiny little dude. Still supported his ideology. You know what I mean? Like, it has nothing to do with that. Right? You know, like, if you have good ideas, I will fully support you. I don't care about how you look. Legit. You know, like, I'll take Thomas Sowell over Joe Biden every day. But the reality is that, you know, this here, legit, this actually has to do with whether or not you're cognitively capable of performing, you know what I mean, what you're supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? And I feel like maybe we should all kind of be aware of this. You know, that's kind of my mentality. Anyway, man, yo, look, I'm going to outscoop everybody again. Yo, it's Tom P's with Pnoid News. Yo, holla at your boy. Later.